Welcome back to Style Esports season number 16. This evening on the Rift, we're going to be having a couple of teams coming up here. I see that says stream is still starting. I'm hoping that will get resolved momentarily. Still seeing starting soon. I'm not hearing my own beautiful voice. If you do, let me know.
Let me check. Oh, I hear some ads.
Yeah, same. That's what I also got. Let's even jump to Toxine. Nope, does not seem to be moving for me. Off the starting soon. Champ select.
Oh, I see the champ select.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, there it is there.
Oh, we're live.
I guess we are good. Just very delayed. Man, okay. Well, hey, it sounds like y'all are here with us. We'll trust that that's all working then. Took a moment to get us all rocking, but here we are. It's season 16. It's Style Esports. My name is Llama. I got Potato. We got a couple great teams on the Rift this evening. We have William and Mary against Mythic Esports hitting the Rift this evening for a best of 3 here. Both these teams, some premier gamers, I think, here in this Style Esports organization. Mythic Esports, a team that's known to fuel a bunch of different squads. William and Mary, actually a collegiate squad that has some great scholarships available for their esports organizations. But again, I'm Llama. I got Potato with me. Potato, we're into Champ Select. Let's figure this out, man. Let's play some League of Legends.
Let's get some League of Legends indeed. And yeah, we got some fresh faces, some familiar faces. Mythic, one of the finalist, oftentimes finalists in past seasons of Style. And William and Mary, definitely a new org for me, a college I applied for back in the day. So we'll see if these guys can make me proud.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're seeing some of these targeted bans here. Looks like here in the first round of bans here. Nothing too, I mean, a couple of strange champs you typically don't see banned on the table all the time. Things like Talon, Talia, a couple of T champs here that William and Mary does not want to deal with Mythic Esports piloting here. Kind of a run of the mill first pick, at least, with the Maokai locked in.
Yeah, definitely a very popular jungler. Has been a very strong pick for quite a while now, so not a surprise to see that coming out. The Viego is a very neat response, and already drafting some Engage out here with the Nautilus pickup.
Yeah, so that gives them at least a primary go button. It gives them some good engage as well. So we see that that is really the way to jump on in. And so now, okay, Mythic Esports, they want to engage, they want to dive in, they want to give Viego resets. How is William and Mary going to respond? They say, we're just going to play for a wombo. Maokai Misfortune can be such a nasty combo if you can land that Nature's Grasp. You kind of throw out your, ultimate there, and then you got a bullet time behind it. I mean, it feels like that can be such a nasty combo from range.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like the MF pickup here. Kai'Sa really is the flavor of the month currently as far as ADCs go, but I still have a special place in my heart for Misfortune. I think certainly a champion that can find a lot of success. I wouldn't necessarily mind seeing something along the lines of maybe a Taric come out here too,
Sure.
or some other Nature of Warden against the Nautilus. Rel is off the table, definitely probably one of the strongest supports on this patch, but something along those lines can maybe temper the aggression a little bit, and Draven is certainly going to be following the theme of wanting to find people out and cash on
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, if you said, tempering the aggression, I mean, Draven is that aggression to a T nearly, right? William Mary, that tempering comes from something like the Malzahar by providing the ultimate available, press R on a target. That does mean that Mythic Esports has to decide if they're going to be looking to just pay that QSS tax, right? Or you just try to stay far enough away or interrupt the Malzahar, I guess, is your third option. But Mythic Esports in this game 1 draft does seem to be playing very aggressive, very very almost ego feels like a little bit here, Potato, right? With some of these Viego Draven picks, known for some solo queue prowess as well as some one trick potential. Like there is definitely like feast or famine kind of champs here, but it looks like Mythic Esports support here on this VXH is going to be the supportive character for this team coming in, is trying to hold the team together with this big anchor boy. So we'll see in the second half if we're going to see the mid and ADC, that is their Phil and TT Dur 2000, if they're going to be providing a utility for their squad as well. Let Viego and Draven be the carries. These are the two guys that got MTC in their name, Greg and Gumayusi. So maybe trying to really show up that they are the pinnacle moments and carries of the Mythic Esports organization.
Yeah, repping the org and wanting to rep a good score line tonight as well, for sure. And we talked about how Mythic is drafting a lot of Go, right? But I'm also looking across at William and Mary. I think they do have to be a little bit cautious about the manner in which they go because they have a lot of tricky things to play around. I mean, Maokai has a lot of point and click lockdown, and Malzahar certainly is a specialist in that as well. The bullet time can deny vast swaths of terrain from the Mythic players, and Viego Draven, like these are champions that can be very susceptible for getting shut down as well. So I'm curious to see how these players will kind of play that as the team fights come around.
Yeah, you're right about that. Easy ways to take advantage of these low mobility, no ways to really break out, low positioning kind of champions like Viego and Draven. Both are so reliant on getting kills. But now this is where you kind of get some of that late game insurance coming in. Nico and Silas had a couple of targeted bans toward Phil, this mid laner here for Mythic, but instead they're going to go for the scaling late game AoE team fight option in this Aurelion Soul, a dragon we have not seen on the Rift very much here, at least as of late, since it kind of dominated here earlier in this last season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, on release, this was everybody's terror pick to have to come up across just infinite scaling, incredible zoning control, and once it gets to a certain point, it really felt almost like an inevitable, unstoppable force as you just have these stars filling the lane, vaporizing every minion wave. So we'll see if we get a little bit of a callback to that kind of gameplay tonight, or if it's going to be a bit of a toasted dragon against the continued lockdown attempts from William and Mary's side.
Yeah, and that continued lockdown attempt is going to be coupled with some global ultimate here with the Nocturne and another kind of engage go button. Let's jump into the backline right away with the Kled as the last choice for William and Mary. And with this finalizing in the draft for William and Mary, that Maokai is actually looking, it's going to be going into Mage of None's hand, this support player for William and Mary. I expect them to be the one piloting this Maokai in game number one.
Yeah, and definitely very interesting pick. It's not a role I see Maokai in very often, so I'm ready to see how that one will get played out. Certainly does mean that there is a bit less survivability here, and looking at some of the champion picks that Mythic has drafted, there's a lot of damage that can be coming out on the other side as well. So may need to have a little bit of finesse in the piloting of that champion, but I'm ready to see what it can do.
Yeah, not a champ that has been on the Rift too much here. And the final answer for Mythic Esports is going to be a set locked in. Expecting that to be a Kled matchup in the top lane. You got those big fists, the left right from set, looking to trade kind of aggressively with Kled, who's known to have some very tricky all ins with that double health bar, can tank the tower, can drop it pretty easily here. So it will be interesting to see if that will be the case in the top lane. I mean, when you got that fifth pick, my eyes are on you here to see will you be able to make use of the counter that you were given here. And set, again, not a super meta champion, at least as of recent. So I do want to see if with that fifth pick, if it is going to be a successful matchup in the top side here. So 10 champions locked in on the Rift here. What are you kind of seeing? What's standing out to you here, Potato, here as we're seeing everyone at least locking in what those picks are going to be?
I think to me, the biggest thing that stands out is I feel like the game has a lot of potential to quickly go out of control for both sides. William and Mary, if they grab the lead, they have so much playmaking potential in so many ways to force on the opponent. You have the Nocturne ult, Kled ult flying in from heaven knows how long. Cross that with the Maokai Nature's Grass coming in. It's if you start falling behind, I can see it's gonna be really difficult to recover from the relentless pressure that this squad can bring out. On the other side, Mythic Esports, right? We also have a lot of champions that love getting those kinds of leads. Viego, Draven, Asol, these are champions that really thrive on being able to get that income and to kind of punish the opponent. And with Nautilus and Set in the mix as well, you do have the tools to make the plays happen. So I'm
Yeah.
kind of keeping my eyes on, if these leads can be secured by either team and how these team might be able to play around that.
Yeah, and I think the opposite is also very much true. Potato is like if a team gets behind, it's really harder, a lot harder to stabilize here. When you take a look at like a Draven, if they don't get cash-ins, they become a pretty useless marksman here. And alternatively, if Nocturne or Kled don't get strong enough to really make a disruptive engage happen, you kind of just become some free gold in the pockets as you're zooming in the darkness there from Nocturne. So I think there is a lot of pressure on both of these teams to try to accelerate because, like you said, they do so well. And I'm also very worried about both sides getting behind. It does feel like if one team gets the ball and starts getting some big dunks, like the hoop gets bigger, the guys get taller, and they're going to keep on slamming down on the enemy here. And we're just going to have to see which of these two teams are going to be the ones that take that ball into their court and try to make it happen here in game number one of Style Esports this evening.
Yeah, absolutely. So stay with us for just a bit as all these champions are locked in. We're going to be right back with you soon as we get onto the Rift. And we got some League to play. Sounds like we got some B-Ball to play too. So let's see who's going to score first.
It is that time. We're on to the Rift. Game number one here this evening between William and Mary and Mythic Esports. Already the squad of Mythic going to be grouping up as a 5-man unit. This Nautilus level 1 can be devastating if it finds a target, but looks like that will not be the case, at least in these first 60 seconds of game one.
Not just yet, but you bet that they are still looking in the bot jungle first, wrapping around mid, gonna settle for just dropping a ward, and it looks like Anthony is actually going to move into the opponent's jungle earlier too. So we'll see if that gets spotted. Set might actually find themselves in a 1v2 shortly, but it seems like no, just going to peacefully pass up to the top lane for now.
Peacefully passing does not seem like a good thing though, Potato. That feels like grandma, when she's on her last legs here. But gratefully this time, peacefully passing does literally just mean walking on up there here. All 10 members will survive on the Rift and see at least hopefully a level 2 here. And junglers seem to be seeing the same side of the Rift here with this Nocturne actually getting a great little invade. Anthony with a nice little early pathing here, does seem to actually spot out where the enemy was starting, because that was actually going to start in the negative piece of the enemy jungle. So let's see how that pays off here in these first few minutes.
Yeah, and this might actually be a big payoff depending on whether Greg is going to know that their top side is gone or not. There is that ward on Raptor, so they'll have an idea that Anthony at least did not path red into Raptors, but we'll see if Greg continues pathing topside or if they figure things out and go for the vertical jungle.
And that could be devastating as well because of how potent this bot lane can be with the Draven and Nautilus. I mean, if Greg did want to go into the bot side, it'd be very strong. And now didn't look like it was snuffed out at least. But now Greg should know, hey, buddy, my top camps are gone. And now where's this Nocturne? Because you take a look, Anthony successfully gone into their own side to now 6 camps up to farm. Well, now we have to see what Greg does. That's what's happening here in this early game.
Yeah, making the very long walk of shame back on down. Does seem like they're going to start thinking about crossing on over. Is very healthy still, so does have the ability to farm on up. Anthony is clearing his own top side now, so might just be a bit of a delayed vertical when all things are done.
But now with this vision here, we'll get actually spotted out. Now the blue squad of this William and Mary team does know that this Viego has made their way to the bot side of the jungle. And gratefully, because Mythic actually had the prio in this bot lane, they're able to move up to help it out. So ultimately, Greg is going to get a red buff. It is going to be the enemies in this time. So it seems like it might be all things all right in the jungle rift here in these first 3 minutes.
Yeah, Anthony is going to know that those camps are gone, maybe looking for a bit of a move topside, does get spotted on a ward as well. So all things considered, a fairly even early game, even if it is a little bit unconventional as far as the pathing goes.
Yeah, and neither jungler really getting too much of an advantage from there. But now the first gank of the game will be topside. Anthony with double buffs wants to try to help you walk out here.
Yeah, Bear Trap on a rope unfortunately does not land a nice buffer on the set W. A flash, but followed over by Ewok. His first blood picked up by Anthony, traded right on back from the tower, though TP available, so not too much loss. But on the box side, VXH landing a really nice hook. Mage of None having to run for their lives now. The bullet time slowing Gumayushi down, so the trait is not quite fast enough. But look on the backside, Greg wanting to find something out once again. VXH with the flash hook, and there's the flash stun from Viego too. Greg is certainly going to pick it up. No, actually goes down to the ignite of VXH, so the least optimal target there, but you'll take the kill still.
The kill was good. Mage of None very wisely not burning their flash, so will still have the summoner spells available when they return to this bot lane. Like you said, not the optimal target, especially when a Draven is in your lane. You always want on the carry, but Draven in particular wants to be the one with the gold, with the axe, with that extra adoration. We'll not find it at least here, but we'll have to see now, because VXH did use both their flash and ignite. And with 4 summoners up for the side of William and Mary in the bot lane, I do want to see if they're going to be able to play around Anthony's gank timer now to try to shut down this Draven before they get any of those cash-ins.
Yeah, that gank timer might be a little while coming though, because those bot camps are not going to be up for a good while. Looks like right now the call is to regank top with that flash timer against Tetadure, and now getting very low. Set W is not going to save you today. Dismounts Kled, but that's all that you're going to get out of that one as the top laner falls for the second time.
And with this top laner falling, I do have to credit Ewok. They went with the Ignite early on in this lane. That is such a greedy option as a top laner to not take the teleport. But Tetaduri used the teleport last time to get back to the top lane. So now doesn't have teleport, doesn't have any, or they have the one kill from the tower dive, but has two deaths already. And we'll have to see if this does make a difference in this top lane matchup, if Ewok can continue to put down this pressure with the Ignite matchup, because later on in the game could be pretty hard to take the split push if you don't have the teleport available.
Yeah, can be difficult, but Kled is one of those champions that is known to be a really oppressive laner at times. So if Ewok is able to hold on to this lead and continue to secure it, the life might start becoming a little bit difficult for Tetadere. Still, right now, though, does have a very nice CS lead despite the two deaths, so
Yeah.
that could be a good evening factor there.
Yeah, surprised to see Ewok being down a significant amount of farm in this top lane after getting a couple waves under tower. So just seems to not be CSing quite as well. But look at this. Phil going to take a reset and teleport back onto the map. And the rest of Mythic Esports does have the first move onto the dragon. So they will be looking to take that objective. And Ewok again trying to exhibit pressure. He's level 6 now. Tetadori not afraid to trade though with this set. That's showing that counter matchup we talked about in Champ Select. Ewok not able to get very much to happen with this Kled top lane.
Yeah, not afraid whatsoever, given that 1-2 left hook, right hook combination. And my mind flashes back to some of the complaints my friend has when a set with just a longsword kind of beats him down for full
Yeah.
HP. So we're seeing a bit of that action here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Those fists are pretty strong. I'd take Set's fists over Vi's fists, I think, but if I got the empowered ones, at least, that's the piece there. But like you said, just so much that haymaker face breaker, feels like Set can really punch your teeth in pretty quickly here. So now as we're taking a look across the map, I'm waiting for level 6s to start coming through for the rest of these players, especially these junglers. Anthony did get enough, and there's what, like we said,
Yep, the EXP secured off of the ward kill there, and that's the flash differential we saw from the earlier play. VXH gonna go down, but Tete Duri wants to trade him right back on the top lane. He said, you can come gank me as much as you want. That's a solo bolo for me.
Yeah, the solo bolo for Tetadure saying, come on up here, Anthony. I saw you use your ultimate bot lane, buddy. I'm going to break this Kled's face, and did exactly that. Great ultimate out of Set, and then the damage to follow. I wanted to see Ewok press an advantage, but it's them getting pressured now without their jungler supporting the top lane play. It's going to be a little bit devastating now with over 20 farm now separating these two top laners here with only 8 minutes so far on the game clock here in game number 1.
Yeah, and now at 2 kills, because the kills were split on the side of William and Mary, it actually seems that Tete Dirty will have the advantage now. Greg is able to secure the Rift Herald there on the
Good
top side.
ultimate.
Ults right on out, but here
They
comes
won
the
it.
Ted unstoppable charging on through. The flashes are coming out. Greg is looking for survival.
Merlin.
But a follow flash from Merlin. Can he get in range for the suppression?
He's here.
It is instead Yanthony falling perilously low. Ewok gets it down though, and so both junglers are traded, and now Ewok is flying forward, but the dragon is breathing fire, and here comes Phil on the backside trying to find the kill onto Ewok, but disengaged
VXH.
at the last moment. VXH is making their way on up. The flash is back up now. The chase divided on 2 different fronts, chasing up both top.
But Merlin, no flash.
The Rift Herald. Merlin does get caught with the face breaker, and Phil gets the kill credit for that one, as Ewok now looking for a way to get back into lane, but instead there's going to be a very angry dragon coming on in. One last punch from Set isn't going to be enough, and that's a positive win for Mythic.
William and Mary, that was a fight that they wanted to take originally. Ewok committing their ultimate to jump on in for the fight. Even Merlin flashing over the wall, trying to find Greg. Ultimately, they found Greg, but they found no kills from it. I guess they did kill Greg eventually here, but look at that cash-in coming through bot lane.
Gushi finds Mage of None, is now Fear trying to run away from the misfortunes. Is there enough damage? Yes, there is, but it is going to likely tick down to the Ignite. Yes, one last tick gets it. Meanwhile, Tete Dure on the top side, not to be outdone, finds yet another solo kill, and this set is looking to get a little bit out of control.
Wow, we were wondering who was going to be the carry, who was going to accelerate this early game. And so far, with that play bot and then the solo kills top, Tete Dury showing up on the set counter pick, really making good on their promise to say, hey, team, give me that fifth pick. I will make it happen. And doing exactly that early on. Look at the CS lead only continuing to grow as well.
Yeah, that R5 counter rearing its value right now as Set finishes the full stride breaker, which is going to make those catches only all the more potent there in the top lane. 2 plates down as well. The first Herald was down, but gets a little lower. If you get the second Herald, that's going to be the tower going on down, and we can already see the beginnings of a side lane disaster here for William and Mary.
Yes, it absolutely might be exactly that potato. I mean, disaster feels a little bit maybe severe, but you're right. It will become more challenging here. These double buffs as well on set will not make it any easier for Ewok. Lane's in a bad state. Tetsudeuri really survived the early aggression from Yamthony and now is making good in this lane. VXH looking to make something happen. The bot lane has their own dredge line available. See if they can find a kill. You do have to be worried about this return from this misfortune and Maokai because they can fire out so much damage and lock you up for so long. Could be a little bit dangerous if VXH tries to find some kind of hook into the death charge.
Yeah, it definitely has a lot of retaliation potential, and it has been the mid lane and the bot lane of William and Mary able to eke out small advantages over their counterparts. Not quite enough to offset what's happening on the rest of the map. They are down currently just over 2k gold, but it is still a bright spot, and otherwise little bit of a tough spate. But here we go.
Here's
Looks
the
like they want
force.
to get things going. Nautilus already uses the CC, but the lights get turned off. Mage of None is in there. Yamthony is in there. The bullet time is laid on top, even committing the teleport to join in on that play. That's 2 picks taken out on the bot side. It's going to be a Cloud Dragon as a reward.
Yeah, again, the players who were the aggressors do not find successors. They tried to make a play happen. Mythic Esports wanted it. I said, even if you use the dredge line of the depth charge, I don't know if there's going to be lethal. And there sure as heck wasn't. The lethality came out from the enemy squad. Misfortune with that completed item. Yomu's Ghost Blade shredding through, and the rest of the members able to collapse so effortlessly onto this bot lane from Mythic Esports. So, like you said, a couple of kills in their back pockets, a dragon now tying it up 1-1. Still very strong showing from William and Mary, and that's really coming out of this bot lane here.
Yeah, and we're seeing a lot of the work that the Maokai is putting in that last fight. Nautilus does have that point and click to get things going, but Draven was not able to close the distance with that Nature's Grasp blocking everyone down. And of course, the Paranoia, such a powerful tool for both engages and disengages their Nocturne flying on in. It was a team fight win from there.
So now that team fight win will still have them at a gold deficit here. 2,000, like you said, still separating these two teams here. No objective on the map for a minute. But now look in the top side here. Looks like they want to dive Ewok.
Yeah, I think it is going to be the top side cracking open there. A really nice slow push set up by Tetadure and Greg finding that timer to move on up and assist his laner. It's Ewok falling again, a 3-level difference.
Now they
And
want
it's going to
Merlin.
be the tower going on down. But yeah, in the mid lane, it's Merlin that's also going to be finding himself the victim. VXH does get to engage this on time, but will it actually not be enough? It seems like they didn't have the full commit on there. Yamthony flies in, the cavalry arriving, and there's even a dive in the bot lane. Gumayushi also falling to the 2v2, knowing that the support is not there. So while the top lane is getting cracked open by Mythic, the rest of the map is falling apart.
Oh, that was devastating. VXH tried to hand over the kill to Phil on a golden platter, but Merlin, his crystal ball, was showing that the future was bright. Malzahar snuck on out of there with a sliver of health and a great punish from William and Mary in the bot side of the map to pick up a kill on Draven too.
Yep, the only gold going over there was straight into the pockets of William and Mary, as certainly an unlikely survive there from the Malzahar through all of the CC flying in at him. And now we see the rotation is being called as Tete Dure being pulled down into the bottom lane to try and crap open another tower. Perhaps Greg is going to run into Ewok, maybe trying to find another solo, maybe just capturing a few waves here. It will be a little bit of a respite as the objectives won't be coming for another few minutes.
Yeah, there is the Herald on the map and available if teams try to send numbers around there. But like you said, a little bit of respite, at least for the moment now. But Guma Yusi, no rest for the wicked. Draven gonna go down for the fourth time this game, and nothing to be said in response for Mythic Esports.
Yeah, and there's the power of the engage potential from these champions. Mage of None decisively flashing to capture yet another kill for their team. And I'm loving the way that this Maokai and Nocturne are linking up throughout this early mid game to make these plays happen.
Yeah, and it's surprising to see Potato. This is the team that's still at a deficit that are being the ones who are proactive in getting the picks. And might be another one, just as we say that, Yamthony going in.
Yeah, Greg in trouble here. Does have the flash and the Heartbreaker available. Uses one of those tools. Nocturne follows. There's the flash on now, but there's the suppression and the bullet time combo. That is a
Oh,
huge set W though, but still the shutdown goes on over to Woki in his pockets.
they
And
want
now
the
here comes
fight.
Snow flying there on the sidelines, but Kled is charging right on back, right in the front line, in the midst of three people. VXH is taken really low, does go down, and now it is another going down. Greg cut down by the pocket pistol of Ewok 365, and there we go. It is William and Mary finding their window, going towards the objective, and capturing the Herald for themselves.
Wow, a great play there. I thought Tete Dore might have been the hero of the fight. Looked onto the back line and almost interrupted everybody with that amazing showstopper into the haymaker, but was not enough to secure the kills. And you thought the fight looked close, and then a full health Kled, true to their name, looking like an Ewok charging on in there, jumped onto the back line, and Mythic just crumbled. Now, for the first time, we're seeing a gold lead secured by William and Mary. And your one shining light in that top lane, who still has a 2,000 individual gold lead, will not be able to stand up to the rest of the map from William and Mary, finding the advantages going to this mid game and third dragon spawn right now.
Yeah, William and Mary are just playing together so well, using these long range engages, these forcing abilities to continuously collapse onto the weaker members that they find in Mythic. And sure, Tetsuture still has the advantage in the side lane, is unstoppable in a 1v1 there. But when it comes to the team fights, when it comes to the 4v4 on the rest of the map, William and Mary are finding their windows.
Yeah, and those windows are making significant differences for this team. They're the ones who are being successful in finding the engages, in finding the times when it's ready to go. And I was worried that they might have been a little bit overzealous, going too far, but feels like some really calm and calculated fights when they know they have the numbers advantage. And it's working out great for them here in this first match.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also want to call out Merlin here. Quietly has gotten up to level 13. That's without a Roa. That's higher than even Tete Dure has been able to achieve in this game, with very good farm numbers up as well. So the various members of William and Mary certainly earning their keep and keeping their team in the game.
Yes, and critically, has been doing great with the farm, able to flash on forward.
Yep, we talked about forcing tools earlier. There's another one. The decisiveness is refreshing to see here. Getting the Herald charge, getting yet another pick. That's going to be two towers going down, both in the middle lane and the bot lane, as William and Mary continue to press forward.
That's what it is. It's decisiveness, knowing you have the damage, being okay flashing forward to get that nether grasp. And it made an incredible difference here for this team because, like you said, they're not afraid to go for the plays where they know they have the numbers, when they know they can use the aggressive resources. And it's working out amazing for this team. As you said, very refreshing to see a team like William and Mary so key on these engages. And yes, Merlin KL might not have been the primary carry you're looking at for this team, but the Malzahar is looking as annoying as ever with this ability of the suppression that no one seems to really be able to suppress from Mythic Esports.
Yeah, and I think the combo between the jungle, mid, and support here for William and Mary just sets them up for so much success. You have Yamthany able to fly in really from almost anywhere in the vicinity. So as soon as we get a flash window of opportunity that either Merlin or Mage is able to find, they've been snappily taking it, and the rest is just going to be more gold in their pockets.
Yeah. So now we have to see how can they use this gold advantage now 2,500 for the side of William and Mary. The Baron has spawned some key items being completed. We're seeing two for nearly all these players here. Yamthany with two, this Merlin player with two in the mid lane, 2.5 completed for Misfortune as well. How can you use this advantage to keep the pressure going? And you just say, we're just going to walk into the enemy jungle, try to force out all the enemy vision, try to take a fight where Tete Dure in the bot lane wants to try to take a tower, but
Yeah,
Mer-
unfortunately, ult
cool.
straight into the Malzahar shield there, so that is going to be one tool not available, and it's nice to see that Merlin is able to match the side lane for now. Even if unable to stop the punches into the tower, we'll have a lot of wave clear on this Malzahar, so as long as Merlin can keep Tete Dure at bay, it frees up a lot of space for the rest of his team to play.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, and that's really showing that, like, typically you would have your top laner down here, right? But with Ewok not having the teleport available, they're actually not able to play this bot lane here. But gratefully, that's why you got Merlin on your team. You're just dropping all these little void lane guys and just slurping up that wave. And Greg, so hard, or Tete Dure, so hard for him to siege here into this lane, especially without the support. So now Yamthany gonna try to make a 2v1 play in the bot lane.
Yep, here we go once again. There's the suppression coming out. Remember, no set ultimate available. Doesn't even have time to use the W as he is just cut down by the damage that William and Mary are bringing out. So it looks like now they're going to pressure onwards towards that bot lane tower, keeping the mid lane wave shoved in as well. And it seems like Mythic just seem to be at a bit of a loss in terms of what they can
Now
do
they
to
want to
come in.
force.
But yeah, now they're
Oh,
looking for it. But look at that Maokai disengage. That's big value. That's why you drafted that as the support flex, just completely shutting down the look that VXH wants to have.
unfortunately, the dredge line did go into a minion, but regardless, like you said, Mage of None perfectly peeling the team here, able to stop Wokian from getting jumped on and makes a difference. And you're right, the response just doesn't seem to be there from Mythic. We saw that they were under the inner tower in the mid lane while the set was getting jumped on bot. And they're just, as you said, there wasn't a response play. And then when the timer looked for it, it was just disengaged without much of a second thought from William and Mary. So we're seeing 15 seconds till the dragon spawns. And with Mythic positioning down here, looks like they might be trying to play to this dragon. But I don't think you have the stats at this point, even in a 5v5 to win it. We'll have to see if this AoE will land true here from William and Mary, or if Mythic will try to fight their way out from giving the sole point. They're going to be the ones to start the dragon up now.
Yeah, crucially, the playmaking abilities are there. Flash is up for both Mage of None and Merlin. Here's the lights
Here they
turn off.
go.
Here's the Kled engage. There is a big ASO ulti available, but it's the bullet time tearing away ahead of time. A double kill coming out already for Woki and Gumiyushi trying to throw some axes, but they are landing ineffectively into the enemy team. That's the third Drake. Soul point picked on up,
Flash
and there's
forward.
the flash from the Maokai. Gets the knockback onto two. Gumiyushi going to get melted down first. It is a big ASO ultimate coming on down, but William and Mary do not see this dragon
Greg?
whatsoever.
Oh,
Greg gets cut down before any resets are available. Ewok flashes on forward. Bear trap on a rope procs, and it is going to be a ace wiped out. A triple kill going out for Woki, and only one traded back in response.
the team fight is just stronger from William and Mary. Again, you just see Merlin pressing R on any of these targets. This time it was Tete Dure once again and just could not get the haymaker off. They want to try to stop these backs now. Look at this now. Tete Dure teleporting in. Going to try to find someone resetting out position. Wokian forced to run, but flash available. No mana. Not a lot of health. Tete Dure uses the teleport, but doesn't find anything. Flash is over now. Might find this. Yamthany.
Yep, trying to get some support from the ADC potentially, but it is time to run, I'm afraid. Wokian gets caught out by
Oh,
VXH, their Mage of None, trying to save his jungler. Wokian actually does end up getting out, and there's just not enough damage in
oh
the tank.
no.
Unfortunately, it is an absolute disaster for Mythic. Phil is
Oh,
going to
Phil.
fly in, trying to find the
Oh,
jungler.
it does
Will
get
at
one.
least get that shut down, but look, Tete Dury might be in danger now. Another grasp is available, and there's the engage. Greg is trying to come in from the sidelines. Tete Dury is trying to stall for as long as he can, but Merlin XL is still plenty healthy, and now Greg is going to be on the sidelines, forced to watch his top laner go down. No jungler alive means no Baron for the moment, at least, but it's still William and Mary finding an advantage, and now Phil might be caught, gets the fly on over, does
Oh.
not quite get interrupted, but still, there's a very low health tower. The only protective element there looks like William and Mary are going to call the disengage, though.
The disengage will come through, and Hexgates will get VXH out from base very quickly here. Yeah, they're trying to pick up some scraps, but scraps is really all it is, Potato. There's nothing for this Mythic Esports side. And it looked close even in those fights. Greg just has not been able to get any resets on this Viego. Maybe Ewok could be the target down the top lane.
Yeah, it does seem like it will be a pick here. The stun
One.
goes down, the kill goes in, a nice shutdown going over to Phil's pockets. And if we do think back to that last dragon fight, the contest for soul points, it was filled with an almost optimal fight there, landing a huge four-man
Yeah.
ultimate on the ASO and getting a lot of free DPS time. It's only with the wallet advantage of William and Mary that they were able to survive that onslaught. But, as these items continue to come out, that could start to change. And it looks like it's
Oh,
going to
yeah.
be the Baron started by William and Mary here.
But Phil doesn't have ultimate available. I think this is really hard for this team to fight. Mythic.
Yeah, lights get turned off, and look at that bullet time. It's going to absolutely cleave across the entirety of the enemy team. The lockdown is there for the rest of the champions, and there is no surviving for Mythic Esports as William and Mary take their fight. They say a 5v4 is no problem. They wipe the team. They take the Baron. They're barreling down the mid lane.
Yeah, I don't really understand that flip here from Mythic Esports. I don't think it was one that they needed to force the game on, but they wanted to press the issue, and the issue sure got pressed. Like you said, 4v5 did not matter whatsoever. Just going to walk on through with this Baron buff. Going to take the mid lane inhibitor, then onto the bot lane. We still see 5 seconds on a lot of spawns. I don't think it'll be the Nexus, but this side of William and Mary is looking unstoppable now with the Baron around their buff too.
Unstoppable indeed as two inhibitors fall. And you've got to think it's just going to be a clean reset into taking the final set here up on the top lane. They get their buys in. We see these big shutdowns from the performers. 650 gold on Merlin, 700 on Wokians. Probably a lot of close calls on this Misfortune actually as they get back onto the map, assembling maybe for top lane, maybe for Dragon.
Yes, and unfortunately, as we take a look at Mythic, it wasn't that like the team played necessarily poorly, just didn't have the gold, but the picks are going to keep coming through. Tete Dury now the one in trouble.
Yeah, and
Can't
this
even
really
get on
has
the
been the
Wokian.
story of this entire game.
Oh
It's
no.
been the picks coming out from the forcing tools of William and Mary and just not enough disengage or survivability available to the members of Mythic. They're going to be pushing into this top lane tower. Now, Dragon spawning in 20, but that's not even in their sights. They want to close this game out.
Yeah, they're fine giving the dragon now, Potato. They say we don't even need the soul. We just want to use this Baron to keep on sieging up.
Yeah.
Here's going to come the grasp, but it will not get any kills quite yet. That's one cooldown that is not going to be up for this next wave of siege. Like you said, Phil, when given the moment, can do quite a bit of damage, but only 3 items completed. They need about 3 more to be really the impactful dragon that we wanted to see out of Mythic as the late game carry. So just going to try to farm the waves, hold this third inhibitor, because once you got those double super minions, it's going to be so hard to kill. And VX Edge says we need to go right now.
Yeah, it's a nice window
but no
there,
one can
but the
get
lights
there.
are turned off, and once again, how can you engage when you can't see a thing? The bullet time comes out once more, and the team is vaporized. Phil does not have
Penta?
the chance. It's a quadra kill coming out from Wookie, and Phil, unfortunately, a little bit too far to allow for the Penta. Mythic wanted to take their opportunity. The jungler was not there, but still able to assist across the map with the power of paranoia. Phil is not able to hold. Greg already
They
leaves the
want they
game
want
here
it.
as Nexus starts getting
They
cut
want the
down. Phil gets
Penta.
one,
She
gets
got the
two,
Penta.
does ultimately find the kill, and it's a pentakill taking us to the end game screen as William and Mary score first in this series.
Game number 1 going to William and Mary here. A great performance out of a little bit of a shaky early game, but was able to find the kills, find those picks especially, and then when the fights came around, just able to take the force and just win them, run through from there.
Yeah, they drafted a lockdown with long range follow up, and that is exactly the win condition that they executed on, completely unfazed by the lead in the top lane as they played the rest of the map to their advantage, getting their mid and bot ahead and closing out the game from there.
Yeah, so a 1-0 lead now over to William and Mary. We're going to take a quick break as teams get set and settled for game number 2. And we're going to have to see if Mythic Esports will be able to tie it up or if this side of William and Mary will continue this dominance of aggression here in this second match. See you in just a moment. It is time for game number two. William and Mary off to a strong start in this first game in this best of three this evening in style esports. Found success in the draft in game two, pick ban looking nearly identical with the exception of Gragas not being banned. Looks like maybe even a run back of the original draft. Teams have chosen to stay on the same side of the map. And I think Phil was feeling a little target banned from that first game, saying, "Hey, please don't five ban me." But once again, taking away is Talia and the Talon here.
Yeah, and it's the Nocturne taken off the table by Mythic Esports here. Certainly a crucial part of their team success in that previous game. So we're going to have to see what William and Mary will do this time around in the draft to adjust. And the Gragas off the table last round, this time it's going to get picked up by Mythic Esports themselves.
Yep. I mean, they said, "Hey, we're not going to ban it, and if you're not going to pick it, we want to pick it." So that will be locked in early on in the draft. Definitely has some flex potential. Any of those top lane roles or potentially support, even though that's much less common. Expect to see it as kind of a jungle top flex, but has some options to go in other roles as well. Can provide a little bit more of a pick potential as well in a team comp. That was something that I felt like maybe this Mythic Esports team did not have. They wanted to try to get picks, but didn't really have the best tools in doing so. And so this game, they've had to pivot pretty hard here now with Tristana and Gragas actually being their first two locked in here.
Yeah, and a very flexible first two at that, right? You already mentioned how Gragas can go in multiple roles, but lately we've been seeing a lot of Tristana mid, and it's had a bit of an impact here in the pro scene. So we'll see what William and Mary's response to this is going to be, whether they think it's going to be going bot side or mid side. And seems like they're going to be running back again the misfortune there. Definitely a big pick for them in the
Yeah.
last game.
Yeah, definitely still could be their bot lane right here as the 1-2. We did see MF Maokai as the bot choices. I expect William and Mary to actually be holding this flex to see if they want it to go into a different lane here in the second game. I mean, William and Mary says, "You got to show us you can beat this composition before we pivot." First three picks looking nearly exactly like the last game. We won't see a complete run back of draft like we've named that Nocturne on the ban table here. But yeah, William and Mary is saying, "You got to show us you can beat us in this composition," because it seems to be the tried and true for this squad.
Yeah, and well, on the plus side here for Mythic, I do like the champions they've drafted so far against this comp a little bit more than last time. Tristana does have a little bit of additional safety, and Renata certainly is a champion that can start turning around some of these big engages. Even Gragas has the disengage option with the barrel, and also if they end up choosing to go more of a tank route, can absorb some of the pressure, has a bit of interrupt against the Malzahar as well, right? So I think this Mythic squad here, second time around, looking a little bit better as an answer.
So now with this answer of Nico, that's something again that was banned away the first time in the second half of bans. Mythic Esports' mid laner Phil is saying, "I don't want you to four ban me, so I guess I'm just gonna have to pick here in the first half." That does still provide these flex options as well. So not surprised to see that. You have a little bit less flex potential because you need to show four of your five champions after the second half of bans. It looks like Mythic Esports is going to be trying to target this jungle pool maybe a little bit more from Yamthony. This is a guy that has found success. As you said, the Nocturne was a key reason for their success in game number one. And now we'll have to see what he can do in this second game. Kled as well. I mean, again, I can see why you don't want that. It felt like a great lane. Tete Dure did incredibly well early on, but then Kled just said charge and then ran on top of the enemy, and not much Mythic could have done there.
Ran on top of them and really helped his teammates run on top of them
Yes.
as well. It really seemed last game Mythic did not have the tools to try and get on away. And as this Alistar is being hovered, maybe things are starting to look a little bit more concrete here in terms of where things are going to go. Tristana still technically can be a flex. I mean, we could see a Nico jungle coming out here, and it would certainly be a little bit more unorthodox
Sure.
compared to the mid lane where it's typically going, but could still have some trickery left in the tank.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Mythic Esports did play a pretty standard composition without too many flexes in game number one. We'll see if they do have enough chops to play around a couple of these flex picks here. This is always when comms get a little bit cluttered. It's like, all right, am I taking the Gragas? Am I taking the Nico? What am I going here? What are we picking? You kind of got to adapt pretty quickly here. William and Mary going to be picking a big tank boy in the front line. Ewok 365 not shying away at all from being on tank duty here with a Psy on top. Still kind of a premier tank top laner here in the meta.
Yeah, definitely a strong laner there, and also offering another unstoppable engage like the
Yes,
Kled.
absolutely.
Oh, this time with a little bit more manual input required, and Lilia is going to potentially be the round out here. So definitely a very different flavor than the Nocturne. Going to be maybe farming up a little bit more quickly there, but can still offer a lot of nice lockdown and follow up for their team.
Yeah, especially on the level 6 timer, which Nocturne definitely has to play around, right? This is very, very similar here. And as I look at Mythic Esports' side, I'm not quite sure who's going to kill a Scion with 6,000 health. I don't really see a great answer right now. We'll see if this will be the answer here on R5. But I'm a little bit worried about this big tanky boy, and that is absolutely a tank shredder with the Fiora true damage with the ultimate. I mean, this is the answer right here. You say, all right, this is how we're going to kill the Scion.
Yeah, I'm liking some of the things I'm seeing. We saw I think Mythic are identifying a little bit of their strengths and weaknesses from the previous game, right? They said William and Mary want to hard force on us. We didn't really have an absorption tool last time. This time we've got Gragas and Alistar to try and stop some of these things in their tracks. We had a really winning top lane matchup last time. We're gonna keep that top R5 counter, and Fiora certainly is going to be a force to be reckoned with in the side lane if they're able to secure the same kind of lead that they did in the previous game.
Yeah, and Tete Duri did definitely secure an early game lead, right? Like we saw that this player was able to get the advantage, but I think they also ended the game with the most deaths on their team. And I think that's honestly just a result of they were too far forward. They didn't quite play the split correctly. The team didn't have setup in other lanes as they were pushing in bot lane. We saw that pick there on the bot lane, like I'm talking about. We saw one top lane as well. So I have to see a team coordination come through for Mythic Esports because the rest of the map was on such a back foot. They were not able to successfully play around that winning solo lane.
Yeah, and trying to play around that kind of strong side lane, I think, is one of the biggest difficulties that we've seen in amateur leagues so far. We saw a little bit earlier this week on Monday, where similarly we had a very strong top laner, but unfortunately the reset timers were kind of desynced. Mythic not exhibiting the same kind of issues to the same degree, but still thematically did still have that issue of either getting the side laner picked out or having the rest of the team engaged on before they were ready.
Yep, I mean that's where you have to kind of adapt here for Mythic. They definitely have chosen a very different flavor with 5 brand new champions locked in for them here in the second match. Meanwhile, the first 3 picks from William and Mary are identical to the order we saw them picked in the last game. It is a Maokai support once again. And I honestly I like the Maokai into Alistar matchup. I don't think Alistar is going to find too much success unless Maokai tries to go in. Basically, Maokai just plays very safe, does not primary engage and wait for Alistar to do something. And then I think you're absolutely fine to just hold that space for Misfortune like they were able to do so successfully in game number 1. So William and Mary sticking to a similar game plan. The engage from the top lane, a level 6 jungler, as well as this core 3 from game 1. Mythic Esports really shaking it up with more knockups, more AoE, more kind of split fight and solo target potential. And we'll have to see if that's going to be good enough to take down this William and Mary squad.
Yeah, 3 repeats here from William and Mary, 0 from Mythic Esports. A fresh new roster for a fresh new game. They're looking to tie up the series. We're looking to get some action going on the Rift in just a bit. So we'll see you soon on the other side of a spectator delay.
William and Mary is taking on Mythic Esports in game number 2 this evening after a 1-0 start. William and Mary is looking to solidify this series in their favor. We're on to the Rift. Game number 2 got Potato alongside myself, Llama. Classic 5-point start. We'll got to see what Mythic Esports can pull out of the bag here in the second match of the evening.
Yep, no level 1 antics this time around, no jungle run around either. It's just going to be both sides spotting out for their start. And seems to be more of a standard game coming out this time around. And Mythic really want to be turning things around.
Yeah, Mythic's kind of got to make something happen here, and they've definitely set themselves up for something different with 5 new champions from this squad hitting the Rift this evening. And so we got to see what can happen with this. Greg piloting a very different champion from the Viego in game 1 now, this time picking up Gragas for themselves. I'm also taking a look at Phil. This Nico was banned in game 1, and they had to pick it early on. So we're going to have to see if this Nico will find success here for this Mythic team.
Yeah, and they did have the opportunity to get some counters in here as well as well. Ewok is going to run into Tete Duri here on the way to lane, losing a big chunk of HP and actually forced to start the shield
Oh my
on the
gosh.
Scion. So it seems like the dominance from game 1 here in the top lane might be continuing on to game 2 as look at the bullying that Fiora is putting out already.
Yeah, and that's the counter pick we wanted to see once again, Potato. They opted to stay on red side, even being the losing squad. They opted to save this 5th and final pick for Tete Dure once again, just so they can dominate in this lane. And doing just that, even in the first level, we were worried about who was going to kill Scion, and Fiora is a great champion for that. So I really like the dominance from this top lane matchup to let Tete Dure get the counter pick, get a good matchup, and hopefully this time play the mid game even more successfully. With this triple wave crashing in, I even want to see if Tete Dure might be looking for a dive.
Yeah, it could certainly be possible. The Scion has been thrown away so hard, training away a quarter of their life there for their first minion of the game. Finally does hit level 2 at least, so will have that decimating smash available. But just that level 1 bush play already bringing such a big advantage for their lane.
Yeah, and makes a difference here. Like you said, 3 farm in this first catch from Scion, 12 for this Fiora. So great lane here right away. Also, Phil seemed to have more comfortability on this matchup with the Nico. The Asol did not seem, we saw a couple of ultimates, but did not seem to have quite as much effectiveness as I'm hoping this Nico might have in game 2.
Yeah, and Nico's certainly a big playmaking opportunity of a champion here. Once we get the rocket belt going, once we get level 6, there could be some ultimate shenanigans as well. So could really set their team up for some team fight success with that pick.
Yep. I mean, so we do need to see if that will be the case. I mean, these are definitely solo lanes that were pretty successful, at least in the early game in game number 1. Ultimately, it was some of the team fighting, and unfortunately, going to be UC and VXH that did not have the best lane or get ahead where they needed to be. But Ewok now trading aggressively back.
Yep,
Tachidori
that's
not
some good
perturbed.
sound trades, but Tejaduri, yeah, just duking it right on Outback. And I also love to see in this top lane the mind game here in this matchup as far as when Fiora will choose to commit the riposte against the Scion knockup. That first time that we got to see it, it was Ewok getting the full channel here, but both junglers going to run into each other. It is Greg picking up the Scuttle Crab there, and going to be a bit of a disengage here. And all things considered, fairly even going on out, but the solo laners are eking out some gold advantages.
Yeah, and yeah, it's very minimal, about 200 gold already here. But junglers have opted for that full clear. I do expect this to be a little bit of a slower pace game until level 6 is. Ewok now even up a level. Okay, Tete Dure does have to riposte there, which was a good timer.
Yeah, and Ewok taking back a little bit of control here in this lane. As Tadidar getting very low, does have the TP available to join back into lane, but looks like
Yeah,
we'll be losing
loses.
a couple minions here actually. So despite what seemed to be a disastrous start here for Ewok, finding their drive here on the Scion and pushing back against the Fiora counter.
Yeah, and so great to see that there is still Ewok fighting back successfully here. Does a good job with that lane state. So great to see that coming out of them. So we're getting close to level 6s though. Some champs already hitting level 5. Especially the junglers are going to be the most impactful timers for these level 6s. but nothing so far through the first 5.5 minutes. Typically, it's around 6 minutes. You want to see your bot lane hitting level 6. We'll see if that will be, or your solo lane's hitting level 6. We'll see if that will be the timer here this game.
Yeah, we are getting a little bit closer to that timer, and I suspect that that might be when we start getting a little bit more action on the map as well. Lilia is going to be a little unlocked as I say that VXH looks for a bit of a poke play going on in, but not too much of a commitment offered just on yet. And here we go, another interaction. Sion does get the decimating smash, and look at Tete Dura's health here, absolutely getting wrecked down by this a big lumbering oaf of a top lane tank player, and going for another one. Tete
Oh
Duri
my gosh.
starting to get a little bit low. Level 6 is not available
There
there.
it is.
There we go. Finally hits it,
Grand
and there's the
challenge.
grand challenge immediately flashed away from by Ewok. Sensing the danger, Greg is here offering their support. It's a big
Oh, do they
wave
want to
crashing
dive
on
though?
in. Can they get
They
the
want
dive
it.
on in? There's the belly slam flash to get things ongoing. It is level 6 getting
One to
back
one.
on the Sion. Greg has traded back, and Sion passive will allow them to hold on to the majority of the wave this time around. So not too bad. And look at how things are. The CS advantage has all been leveled out there in the top lane. So I was coming back with the tab buys, and seems like things are going a lot smoother here than we might have expected from how the game started out.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And now Tete Dure is a little bit of a lull at this point. You already see some of these key items in their inventory will be building towards a Divine Sunderer. That's really when Fiora is going to start winning this lane even harder. I think at this point, maybe you got to stall out a little bit, try to farm up for that first completed item. But then you can start getting the heal. You start doing the percent health damage as well. So those are going to be kind of the item, or that the one item to be looking for. Or Ewok with the tier 2 Ninja Tabai boots with those plated steel caps. I expect to see a Bramble Vest coming in soon for this player as well. It is going to be okay for Ewok to just try to hold on as much as they can now, because this is really the point in the game now between these two where there might be a chance. But Greg, not level 6 yet, wants to go in mid.
Yeah, and finding a more successful play this time around does not need any dive
Ooh.
shenanigans. Merlin loses the flash, but unfortunately for no gain there. Greg did give up some farming time, is a decent number of camps behind their counterpart, but while the first play was not all that successful, the second one certainly is paying off. They're getting a lead over to their mid laner and making up for some
Grand
lost time. And
challenge.
now Tete Duri wants to find it. There is no flash this time
Ooh.
around on the Scion. Ewok successfully dodges the third proc, but Greg has already found his way down onto the dragon, so making some good things happen around the map.
Yeah, so I do appreciate after the reset, Mythic Esports is not afraid to play aggressively. They got the first dragon in game one, and then lost the second one. But it wasn't about the early game we were worried about from this team, right, Potato? Like it was around the mid game, around these team fights. Once we start seeing plates fall, once the team starts grouping up, William and Mary just had a better 5v5, found plays as a team. And I want to see if they're going to find those angles once again. Then we used to getting jumped on, but a great buffer.
Yep, and it is level 6 here that is achieved by VXH and not matched by Mage of None. So the Alistar ultimate is going to
Oh
come through,
no.
getting quite low there. And there's the combo coming on out. It may not be a Nocturne flying on in, but they still find the tools in their kit to make things happen.
Merlin
Well,
now.
here we go. Merlin there on the sidelines, finding the gank onto Tete Dure. There is a lot of CC available. You can only
Bot
repulse one
lane.
of them, but on the mean side, Yumayushi already trying to find it. There's the CC
Oh,
combo going out. There is a nice riposte getting the stun down onto Ewok. Flash is not available from either solo laner, so Tete Duri will survive that one. Taking the base will at least lose the wave, though, but Phil is already trading back with plates in the mid lane.
yeah, top lane and bot lane, both teams escaping successfully, not falling at all. Gold lead tied up or within at least 100 now, 2-2 the score line. The next dragon will be up in 3.5 minutes, but it's the Herald that these teams might be looking to fight for next. Teams are hitting level 6, like we mentioned. Everyone across the map now is level 6. And no completed mythic items quite yet. Looks like Misfortune going back once again toward that lethality build, looking like a Yomu's Ghost Blade going to be the first item once again.
Yep, and you did mention kind of the mid-game playmaking potential that really led William and Mary to success in game one. I do think, though, a big component of that was how easily Nocturne can both offer disruption against the enemy team and follow
There's
up
the
from such a
disruption.
range. And yeah, Phil actually taking things matters into their own hand, falling a bit of a victim to Merlin in the previous game, but now with some more playmaking ability with this new champion, finds a solo kill, and that's going to be the second kill for them this game. The bot laners of Mythic also trading in a little bit. So looks like Mythic is trying their best to find as many advantages as they can across the map.
Oh,
And here we
another
go.
one.
Greg has arrived. There's the flash engage going on in, and Wokian, while they might have done a great job surviving that last game, this time does fall prey to the gank, goes on down, and it seems Mythic is turning things around from game one.
Yeah, a couple of picks across the map, and I think you mentioned that Anthony being on the Lilia instead of the Nocturne does not have quite as much pressure available when that ultimate is available. Yes, it's still a great team fighting tool, but does not get you on and around the map quite as quickly and quite as easily here. So you're going to have to see how this team can group up. But once again, Mythic Esports looking for the play on a Mage of None.
Yeah, already tanking up the tower is VXH here. The nature scraps used to try and
Oh, it's going to
disengage,
die.
but not going to do so successfully. It is at least one kill traded back there. Wokian going to be picking one up.
Tete
Hurry dies to the decimating flash auto combo there. So definitely Ewok turning things a little bit around, both from game one and from the early game. So seems like almost it's a reversal of that first game where now top lane is starting to tilt in favor of William and Mary, and the rest of the map is going over to Mythic. But Anthony wants a little bit more to say about it. Guess that drowsy under tower, the Tristana buffer is not going to save you there. Gets a shutdown into the pockets of Woki, and exactly where you want it to go. Anthony might have to
Rolls
be a
down
little bit
here.
careful here on how they run back out. Blast Cone is taken off the map there, and there's the Alistar CC combo. Phil again with an ultimate into a kill. These Nico
Anthony.
Pop Blossoms are
Oh,
finding their.
okay.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say if they missed that one, that would have been a little bit of a disaster. But no, does manage to get it with that last auto attack. And as we head near the plates expiring, it's a very even game across the board.
It is, but critically in the top lane, Ewok, like you said, from game number one, they were the ones getting bullied. Tete Dury getting solo kills on the set. This time in game number two, the flash auto under tower gave Ewok the solo. They got 3 plates for themselves versus 0 from Fiora. A lane that we thought was going to go in favor of Mythic Esports is actually William and Mary favored here in the second match. Like you said, just about a minute till they expire here, and Fiora doesn't have the Divine Sunderer, so still going to be at a losing matchup here. And just take a look at this yard sale that Ewok picked up in their inventory. Everything to shut down this Fiora.
Yeah, it is a heap of armor here coming out for Sion. And as you mentioned, crucially, that Sunderer breakpoint has not been hit yet. So Ewok still has a bit of a breathing room before the tides may start to turn.
Yeah, but there's not a lot of breathing room now that the dragon has come onto the map. These teams might be looking to get some resets and play around it. Mythic items starting to get completed now for a couple of these key carries. Critically, I'm looking at Phil here. This mid laner Nico, picked in the first half, definitely one of their signature champions, was even committing the Rift Herald there to get more resources and gold into this mid laner's pocket. 3-0 with that Hex Rocket Belt completed. I want to see what this player can do here, because you said this is the point where they can start getting scary. And now level 11 as well, the highest level in the game. Potato Phil is who you got to have your eyes on in this big team fight.
Yep, has a flash as well to make things going, but it looks like it's going to be Merlin coming in the flash right on early. And here comes the Pop Blossom, does catch on too, but gives their own life for it. Gumayushi does trade one back, but it's a shutdown once again going into Woki, and it seems like they are magnetically attracted to earning these shutdowns here. So Nico not quite able to have the kind of impact that we were maybe hoping to see out of this player at that team fight. Loses their flash and the ultimate and their life here, as it is the dragon picked on up. But look, another engage going on to Mage of None. That's a big set of hits from the
Guma?
Tristana. Gumayushi wants to find it, chasing right after the Maokai. Does not seem to quite be able to get it though. So not another kill found. And engage maybe coming out from tower again. No, just VXH headbutting them away.
Tete Dure still in trouble. Does need to get a reset off to finish the Divine Thunderer. Should have it on this next reset, and that'll make this lane a lot easier. We kept talking about that as the critical item breakpoint for this Fiora lane. But they're down 15 farm coming out at the 15-minute mark. And it really is, as we take a look at this gold difference, going to be the advantage for Mythic Esports in the mid roll. But that's going to be about it here, Potato. The ADC and jungle are an advantage of William and Mary. And of course, that top lane we've been talking so much about here in game two. It's really going to be Phil against the world, I feel like. And we'll see if he can fill out this play in the mid lane.
Yep, there's the Plot Blossom flashed away from by Anthony, so surviving there even though they are ticking down to the double burn of the Lilia, wanting to find the solo kill, unfortunately not quite having just enough damage to finish things out.
Yeah, no, but now that double Leandries can be very scary here. You have the burn from Malzahar built into the kit as well as the Leandries, and then you have the burn from Lilia built into her kit with a burn. Like, it's, you have so much damage over time abilities. Couple that with things like these saplings, the Sunfire. There's so much damage just going to be built in from some of these items and champions that, like, just because you don't die immediately to the damage doesn't mean you won't die to the damage over time. Now the Divine Thunder is completed, so we'll see how much damage that does. But Ewok getting at critical mass themselves with Sunfire, even though the Divine is available, it gives them some healing, but really not even close to enough damage to take down this big Scion now.
Not quite, but they are slowly chipping away at the health bar, and we can see how much of a difference that item finish is making. Greg was looking for the dive there, but he's going to run straight into Anthony, loses their flash for it. Unfortunately, Anthony does not get the proc off of their ultimate, but does at least ward off the aggression against their top laner.
Yeah, but now you got to decide, because we were worried about this Fiora, right? We said like Fiora had to be this strong split push presence. They were not able to get there early enough in the game where, like, it is still a little bit scary. And now Ewok still going to be in some trouble here top lane. Both junglers going to make it back for a 2v2.
Yep, and crucially, Greg does have the ultimate here, so tries to alley Anthony under tower, and is going to be the Lilia falling. So this time around, it is Mythic's top jungle finding their advantages. And worth noting, too, that Tete Dure does have the sustain, and Ewok does not. So even though things might have been looking good earlier, will slowly start to get chipped down away, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. Force the ulti away from their life. Fortunately, was not interrupted by any sort of body block there, but already the tides are starting to turn a little bit once again.
Yeah, but the gold lead's still very close here at 17.5 minutes. We'll see if this 2v2 comes down bot side. Mage of Nunnawokian staying in the bush. Here's the Ultimate Nature's Grasp.
Yep, engaging right on through. The Alistar ultimate comes on, breaks the CC, but the Misfortune ultimate being laid on right on top of that. It is so much damage coming on out. VXH on critical HP, certainly going to have to be forced to base here, and that's going to mean the tower is going to be
the teleport
now, but the teleport and the jungler are going to arrive at the same time there. It's going to be a shutdown going into Phil's pockets there. They at least get the tower, but the response is good from Mythic. They're going to pick up two, surely they're gonna pick up two. Come on, you got it. One more. All right, Greg takes the kill credit for that one. Yeah, now finding a bit of trouble going against Tete Dure. The Fiora flashing forward for the damage, does get it. Repulse not quite proccing on the Drowsy, but will live against the tower damage, I think. Does manage to do. Oh no, it doesn't. The ticking health potion not enough. So Anthony finding that one back, and yeah, the Leandry's power you were talking about earlier certainly showing itself there, but nonetheless, it is Mythic continuing to find a couple of plays, a couple of kills, a couple of picks.
But still a gold disadvantage now, right? And we saw this from William and Mary in this first game. They were down gold for the majority of the mid game until they found some big 5v5 team fights and like got the Baron off of it. We'll see if that's going to be the case for Mythic Esports now at about 1,000 gold disadvantage. The next dragon is up in 10 seconds here. Doesn't look like Mythic Esports will be around to fight. Tete Dure falling there. Very unfortunate because they do not have teleport to join this fight. Now the engage, if they want it, is going to be a little bit late here. We'll see if they try to contest this.
Yeah, no teleport, but Anthony is a little bit slow as well. We do have the Nature's Grasp we have to watch out for. Such a potent denial tool when you're already established here in the Dragon Pit. So we'll see if Mythic are able to find their way in for this one. Seems like not for the moment. Dragon does go over to William and Mary, picks it up, and now can they get out? Seems like they will be able to. Walks as a unit back to mid lane.
Yeah, neither team really wanted that fight. It looked like their Potato. All 10 members kind of posturing, saying, all right, who's going to be the first one to engage here? but not able to get that play. And it does have to feel like Mythic Esports needs to try to get a pick early on to make the play happen. I feel like, oh, great flash away from Merlin to not get hit by the root from Nico. But it's those kind of looks you have to be trying to find if you're Mythic Esports, because in a straight up 5v5 in like just a choke point, I think you have the Nature's Grasp and the bullet time can do so much to just win a team fight. And we saw how potent that combo was, coupled with the ultimate from the Malzahar as well, that you can just like flash in and ult somebody and it seemed to be just fine now. But now it looks like the rest of the map is going to be a little bit less fine. Tete Dure trading with Ewok in the bot lane, mid lane as well. They might have found the bot lane of this William and Mary side.
Yep, here's the 3v2 Mage of None does not have the escape tools. The bullet time goes on overhead, but it's not enough to keep their support alive. Wokian looking for Gumiyoshi, but there's the flash engaged from Greg. One more auto though, and it is Wokian picking one back on up. Can Yanthony make something happen? Doesn't look like it. The tower is going to take them down. Kill credit to VXH, and Mythic finds a numbers play in the mid lane.
Yeah, great play. VXH finding the angle onto the bot laners of William and Mary successfully here. Anthony came in trying to clean it up, but ultimately Gumayusi and VXH stand strong. Gumayusi did not have as good of a performance in game number 1. The Draven could not get rolling, but this time on the Tristana, finding 2 item spikes, finding 5 kills so far, and finding that they can be the carry for Mythic Esports when given the resources. Now this mid and ADC for Mythic are going to be the ones you're going to have to your eyes on here in this mid game, as we're seeing almost 22 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, absolutely can pump damage, and we're seeing that this new composition coming out from William and Mary is not able to sync up as clearly as the latter. Anthony struggling to find the same kind of impact that they had in game 1, and the CC layering is just not as strong when the lockdown cannot hold people down as well as it could with the Nocturne, with the Kled coming on in to guarantee it.
Yeah, because you really don't have anyone that wants to be in the backline with like the exception of Sion, right? Because Sion kind of needs to match the Fiora split because no one else really can. And then if you take a look at these other 4 members, like in the past, Merlin was able to just flash Nethergrasp forward, right? And just like lock down somebody and it was completely fine. But this time, if you flash forward as Malzahar, you're going to be the one at the front of your fight because Mage of None and Wokian are going to be so far away. Yamthony not able to fight around as successfully as just Nocturne press R in the back line. So it does feel like you don't have quite as many frontline resources as you did in the first game to find these straight up 5v5 team fight forces.
Yeah, that and Sion here with the tank build really wants to be a part of the team fight to be able to frontline for their team. And the last couple of fights and skirmishes we've seen, that's just not been able to happen because Tete Duri has successfully kept them there in the side lane. So looks like this time around it is once again Merlin now sent to match the side lane threat, maybe just trying to keep the minions at bay. We'll see if it works out as well for them in this game too, as this match helped them in the first game.
And it does seem to be the case. Like, look how successful Merlin is just shoving this wave and even taking half the health out of this Fiora. Fiora does have some sustain, looking like the second item is going to be a Ravenous Hydra. But like you said, right? Like Merlin has been the one to take the split push to the enemy. They say we need to get Sion to be the frontliner in here, but instead, this William and Mary squad opting for a 1-3-1 with less than a minute until the next dragon. Ewok's going to try to shove out the top lane as far as possible and then hopefully take a reset for the dragon timer. 45 seconds now, and here comes Sion down the river. Reset's going to come through for both teams. We're going to have to see if they're going to be willing to contest this or if Mythic Esports is going to give up this third dragon. Seems like maybe not the timer you want to be resetting on now if you're Tete Dure, but the teleport's available. This could be a fight at the next objective.
Yep, 30 seconds to the spawn. We have a lot of crucial items coming on, and Zonia's available, or rather stopwatch for the Malzahar here. The double burn items are locked in for the Lilia. Actually, a little bit ahead of Gragas in itemization, despite the many that the deer has picked up so far. It is Mage of None establishing some early presence in the area, which you always love to see on the Maokai. So this could be an important contest. Teleport available for both top laners. A bit of poke going out to start things off.
Looks like the dragon will be started by William and Mary. Meanwhile, both top laners in the top lane, just where they belong. Teleports are available for both of them if they want to join.
Yeah, looks like they are going to be giving it though, and I'm a little bit surprised by that decision. I would have maybe wanted to see a little bit more aggressive of a territorial contest there before William and Mary got all their pieces together and assembled. But with the lack of vision, that may have been a little bit hard. But look, seems like we have an engage
It
coming on,
wants to
and a
force.
double root from Phil, and a big pop blossom is going to lock them down. Gumayusi jumps on and assassinates
Oh
William,
my.
but almost gets taken down themselves. Another nice root coming in against Mage of None. Gumayushi now finding themselves at 1 HP is going to shut down to the burn that Merlin is bringing on out. Phil now running for their lives, trying to escape via the bottom jungle. Flash Nether Grasp is available here. Will it get expended? Yes, it will. Phil going on down. So that is 2 kills traded back at least, but a strong, big engage coming out from the Nico mid to start things off.
Yeah, Phil found the force with the flash root. And I don't know, how did Gumayusi go so low so fast? I thought that Tristana would have been just fine, but was anything but. All of a sudden it bursted down. I think that might just have been one combo from the misfortune.
That's the power of lethality
Oh
MF, baby.
man.
Auto Q is all you need, and you are going to be laying down the hurt. Got the Dark Harvest in there too, with some
Yeah.
additional burst. So yeah, certainly can be surprising with the amount of damage that they can pop out in a short amount of time.
Yeah, because if Tristana's still alive for that fight, I think it looks even better for Mythic because they had the catch on the main carry, and it felt like it would have been much better for them. But unfortunately, the Tristana fell so quickly. And when that's one of your primary damage dealers, right? She has 3 items here, and then you already used the flash and ultimate for Phil on the primary engage. You really didn't have much left in the tank to continue the fight for Mythic. No more resets were able to come out for Trist. And then the fight was able to just be chased out and almost brought back to neutral here. So really at that point, yes, you got a couple of picks, but now you're under pressure if you're Mythic Esports because the soul for William and Mary will be spawning in 3 minutes. The Baron is available. You don't have your flash on your Nico, and you have to be very careful around these engages on how you can find the picks.
Yeah, absolutely. I do love the decisiveness that Mythic has been coming out with these engages, though. And now Tete Duri looking to turn things around here in this
No.
bottom lane, but is burning down to the Leandries and the
Oh,
ticking. And Merlin seems to be the side lane solution as Fiora is unable to find the turn. There 3 items finished here on this Malzahar, and it is wearing down on the opposing top laner.
oh, and that's showing the power of a Malzahar in your side lane here. Force is going to be on to Phil next. We'll see if they can escape out of here. Pop Blossom into
Yeah,
the
Pop
Zonias.
Blossom does hit too, but there are 3 people here, and the lockdown is relentless. There's the CC, there's the clonk. I can already hear it from the Heartbreaker, but Greg is coming here for a bit of a counter engage. Gumayushi wants it, does find the first one. The Lydia goes on down. VXH is trying to find some damage back on the Noxian as well. The bullet time will absolutely
Oh,
just cut down Gumayushi in the middle of their flight. They're a flash to save the jungler there. Ewok actually running away. VXH is going to find themselves right into the heart of a decimating smash, and William and Mary pulling out that team fight win.
I'm starting to think this isn't the real Gumayusi potato.
Um, I don't know what could have possibly tipped you off there. I'm thinking this is a pretty legitimate to my eyes. And hey, it did look good at first,
Yes,
but the
absolutely.
lethality MF here
Oh my
really
gosh.
showing its value. When you get caught in that bullet time as a carry, you have to be so quick to get out or your health bar is just gone.
Yeah, and we saw what happened there. I mean, yes, Tristana did have a great jump in, got the first kill, was still full health, and that was the problem we saw in the first fight was that Tristana got absolutely destroyed, but then Tristana autoed the wave for a couple of times and then started throwing some autos into Ewok, but you don't really have any way to shred down this Scion. You don't have a Lord Dominance regard yet. You don't have any kind of other way to shred through this giant health bar. And when there's an MF, like you said, in the back line, a bullet time, a few of those waves absolutely shredded him down. Like Guma has to be so careful on target selection and repositions with these rocket jumps. And unfortunately, the execution from the Trist was not there for Mythic Esports. And now with 30 seconds until the Dragon, the Baron under their control as well, William and Mary is going to be looking to force the issue at this next objective and going to try to claim this 2-0 series.
Yeah, this is going to be a very important soul contest as well. So while the previous dragons were given away by Mythic, you've got to imagine that they are not going to want to offer this one for free. But look at what is happening. William and Mary doing the exact same setup that they have in the past, getting their primary people here established in the pit first. Alistar has already burned the ultimate and finding no value out of it whatsoever. That's a big tool for their team fighting.
Greg
The
looking for a
Nature's
flank.
Grasp still available. It is Gragas there on the sideline, maybe trying to find something there from the top side. Wait, no, it's actually a Nico. Can they get something from the Pop Blossom? Maybe
Oh,
it's
they got the
lockdown, but
nether
that is the
grasp.
call. So it is going to be two ultimates wasted, one on either side for nothing. The XH starts to get locked down, gets poked about half HP, and
Oh
where
my.
did they go? The Alistar just ceases to exist, and now Tete Dury is going to get locked up on the front side. But
Oh,
here comes the Pop Blossom, a double
no
flash though,
one.
means that it hits absolutely nobody. It is Tristana trading back a little bit against Anthony, but Ewok is there in the front line, but Wokia actually gets shut down. The misfortune is gone, the damage is gone. Phil, can they find the play against Anthony? No, the Lilia gets it, and now Greg is there on the front line. Still Gumayushi firing down on the front line, but the Scion refuses to go down. It is still a William and Mary win at the end of the day, and they're going to get their Dragon Soul.
Wow, that was a messy and sloppy fight from both teams, Potato. You even called it out. Key ultimates down before the fight even started. Merlin, being a little too trigger happy on the Nether Grasp, actually ulted a Nico clone dressed as Gragas. And meanwhile, it was the Alistar who used their ultimate before the fight even began and could not find the engage with the Unbreakable Will active. So it was just a little bit of a chaotic fight here, but ultimately Yamthony, once again, this jungle matchup, finding the backline of Mythic Esports, got onto Gumayusi, stopped Tristana from being super effective in the fight, and the rest of the team unable to find the last ticks of damage. Yes, they got 2 kills, but they lose the soul, they lost the fight, and now the Baron is expiring, but that Infernal Soul will be theirs for the rest of this match.
Yeah, and that Infernal Soul is gonna really hurt. Those two flashes away from Phil's ultimate, that last team fight, also crucial, and the rest of the team just gets splitting up a little bit. I mean, we had kind of fights on 3 different fronts. We were Phil looking for the engage on one side, Gumayushi locked in a 1v1 with Anthony on the other, and the rest trying to survive the assault of CC that was coming out from the rest of the William and Mary squad. But with that team fight win, with that soul, it does mean that they're going to start pushing towards these towers. Baron is not going to be on the map for a little bit, but you've got to imagine these champions are going to want to start sieging in.
Now, if these champs have the Infernal, will they look to siege all the way under the tower? They have some great wave clear, but their tower taking is not the best. We'll have to see how they play these lanes now without the Baron buff either, because the only wave clear from the enemy is going to be Phil here on the Nico and a little bit from Tristana if they can get the pops. But Ewok in the top side just going to tank the tower. Level 17. They're going to take the top. They're going to take the mid. The inner is not under contest at all. And Ewok with 6,200 health, not perturbed to the slightest. But Tete Dure looking for something. Okay, Ewok's got to be a
Yeah,
little bit
maybe
careful.
he's starting to get mildly perturbed here, actually, and looks like it is going to be
Oh, they're flashing in.
an engage coming in from Mage of None. Actually, the root misses, and bullet time.
VXH?
VSH does get the interrupt down, but
Oh,
absolutely starts dying, and the
my.
bounce there. The double up from Misfortune is good, and here comes Sion. He's charging in. He is getting the kills. A double root coming out from the Nature's Grasp, and Wokian wants it. Tete Dury trying to find it on the sideline, but gets shut down, suppressed immediately. Gumayushi does fire one back. Tete Dury still alive for now, but Wokian fires on back. The burst is good. Anthony is just going to keep the Fiora interested, dashes straight into the queue, and it is looking like William and Mary is going to take things out in a 2-0 fashion, an explosive final team fight, but a 4 for Ace and a win for WNM.
William and Mary, another dominant performance in the mid game. This team, they are greater than the sum of their parts, Potato. This team felt like they were able to find mid game fights. They played 5v5 so incredibly well. Mythic Esports, with a little bit of a separation draft, couldn't really find it. And it really was like their lanes were not outstanding. The laning phase was not crazy from William and Mary, but when they grouped up, when they found these key objective fights, they executed them so well, and Mythic Esports was not able to handle that.
Yeah, I have to agree there. Game one, it was a squad of four coming around looking for advantage after advantage. And in game two, it was again clawing back from a deficit, this time from the majority of the team, but they were able to find it despite some great plays coming out from Mythic, despite some really nice Nico plays as well. William and Mary just able to pull it together as a team and make things happen.
Yeah, and it's like it was not anything crazy, but even in that game through 27 minutes, the gold difference was less than 1,000 gold for either team here. These first 27 minutes were so back and forth with a 1.2k lead for the Mythic side at 11 minutes, but ultimately it didn't amount to much. But you give them an inch, and William and Mary took a mile, took the Baron, took the Nexus. I mean, and took the series 2-0.
Yeah, three back-to-back big team fight wins for WNM were all they needed to close out the series. And so, yeah, absolutely some very impressive team fighting and teamwork coordination we saw from this squad. And I'm hoping to see them back again because those were some good games.
Absolutely, they were, and credit to Mythic as well. This is an organization that has lots of teams throughout different levels of play. And let's go ahead and just award the 36% of believers who voted on William and Mary taking the 2-0 here. Congratulations to them here. Like, yeah, Mythic Esports put up a battle, put up a competitive game number two, but could not find the victory.
Yeah, well played to both teams, and great for Mythic to try and turn things around after a bit of a fairly one-sided game one there. I do like the draft adjustments that they made, and it really was looking like their game to win for a good while there in that second game. But William and Mary able to find the team fight wins, able to close it out.
And now with that 2-0, that is going to do it for Style Esports this evening for us as we take a look at what is to come tomorrow right here on Style. We will have another match at 8 p.m. Eastern. Hopefully, we'll have Abba Trombone and Thousand Eyes bringing you some more action. But for myself, Llama, and All Out Potato, as well as all the wonderful viewers and players, we want to say thank you so much for watching, for playing, for having an amazing time here and celebrating these two squads. Hope to see them back on the Rift soon. I hope to see you back here, Style Esports, next time for more League of Legends action.